Hello, my name is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper. I'm here to provide you updates on the coronavirus, and we've had quite a few today on this Thursday, May 7th, 2020. At the top of the list, Governor Mark Gordon has announced that he's calling a special session of the Legislature to take place primarily virtually or online next week, in addition to additional details he provided on how the state is providing variances, sometimes on a county-by-county basis, including Sweetwater County, and the overall statewide plan to relax some of the restrictions that are currently in place, designed to slow the spread of the coronavirus. At the press conference this afternoon, the governor noted that 13 counties have been granted variances. The ones in Sweetwater County are divided up into two sections. One deals with churches and funeral homes. The other one is more food and exercise related, looking at bars, restaurants, coffee houses, microbreweries, gyms, and dance studios. These are an exception to what the overall state rules are, and county officials noted that any areas that aren't covered in the specific health orders means that the statewide rules are in place. So, for example, that means right now, if some of these local businesses wish to reopen that had been previously had their operations limited, they can now do so, as long as they're practicing multiple things, such as limiting the crowd sizes, maintaining distancing between people, making sure that the staff are wearing personal protective equipment, primarily face coverings, in addition to additional cleaning. The Sweetwater County attorney, Daniel Aramosby, kind of talked through a scenario of if law enforcement was doing a spot check, what should they expect at a bar? He said that if you were drinking alone at the bar, there should be at least 6 feet between you and any other patrons along the bar as well. If you were there with somebody else, you could be sitting next to the member of your party, and then there should be that space there. He noted that especially in a drinking established scenario, people shouldn't be all standing around closer together, drinking and talking. Well, that is certainly an enjoyable part of the experience. Right now, that is something that we're not supposed to be doing because the risk of infection is high. In addition, now classes can be hosted in the gym or in a dance studio of no more than 9 people, counting the instructor. The county submitted these variances to the state. Right now, it was up to the Sweetwater County Health Officer, Dr. Gene Station, to submit these, and they were approved with some changes by the State Health Officer, Dr. Alexius Harris. We were told, or the officials conveyed, that the changes that were made to the local orders were primarily to keep them in line to what variances have already been passed in other places. While the state officials are hopeful that there will be more guidelines that can be relaxed on a statewide level, right now, local control is one of the phrases the governor was quick to use. And just talking about those closer to the ground have a better idea where things are at, noting that restrictions could be loosened or tightened even more. They gave the example of one place where they had a recent uptick in cases, and some of their plans to go forward with variances and lifting restrictions, that's been put on hold for now, at least as they do the contact tracing and see to what degree the cases are. Hopefully next week, the governor is hoping to lift some wider ranging restrictions, especially when it would come to restaurants. In Sweetwater County, we now have that provided on a limited basis, but going a couple counties over, in the near future, we're optimistic that that will be allowed under these new guidelines. Governor Gordon notes that these changes are contingent on state data. If the cases go up, so are the restrictions. we've been blessed that we've been one of the handful of states that haven't had across-the-board lockdown, stay-at-home orders. The governor is obviously treating this as a point of pride, as are many of its residents. This is something that they stress that can be continued as long as individuals, people and businesses are doing the best they can. The governor talked a little bit about rights and responsibilities, that yes, there are freedoms granted to us, but they also come with expectations that you do right by your neighbor, that you do what's right. He cited that as a personal example of why, even when he's out and about, he's wearing a mask in public. He noted that if we screw up, there will be consequences, ranging from potentially scaring off out-of-state visitors, which is important to our economy, especially when it comes to tourism, and it will have a big impact on our streets, that we may have families that go through a much rougher time than what would have been there otherwise. The governor said, each of us have the power to impact others. And we can do that on purpose, and we can do that inadvertently. The same note was echoed by Dr. Harris, the state health officer. Both she and the governor talked about how we just can't simply return to the way things were before the pandemic. Changes are necessary. One of the things that they keep talking about is that you can expose people to the coronavirus if you're a carrier and you don't know it. While you're more likely to carry it if you have the symptoms such as fevers, cough, difficulty breathing, pain in your chest and whatnot, you can still be passing to people and be an asymptomatic carrier and not recognize how dangerous things are. She said this is why we're calling for thoughtful and measured actions. And a lot of the common sense stuff that we've heard before, they're still stressing that we continue. In addition to the social distancing we've already talked about. Face masks when out and about, limiting trips. They also discussed if you can work from home, do so as much as possible. They said that the state stance right now is that they're still continuing to discourage gatherings with large crowds. And she said, if you are high risk, limit your contact. She also said that don't let these people be forgotten. Some people, it's kind of locked down their personal routines faster than other places, even sometimes before even some of the state health orders had in place. These are some people who they are ready to make a change. I don't think there's one of us who I think I want to do this clamped down version of living a little bit longer. No, I think we're pretty much all done and ready to go back to the way things were. But since we can't do this all at once, to do so safely, we have to do it in a progressive manner. That's requires all of us to keep up our A game. Looking at the spread of the coronavirus, according to Johns Hopkins University, worldwide the number is at 3,825,028 cases. When it comes to deaths, that number sits at 267,996 people. And the recoveries is at 1,273,802. According to the Centers for Disease Control, at the time of this filming, in the United States, the total number of cases is at 1,219,066 cases, which it notes is an increase of 25,253 more than yesterday. The U.S. death toll is now at 73,297, which is an increase of 2,495 compared to yesterday. In Wyoming, the Department of Health is reporting 483 lab-confirmed cases, with 152 probable cases. That adds up to 635, and 7 deaths. Sweetwater County, fortunately our numbers are staying the same, with 12 lab-confirmed cases, 7 probable cases and no deaths. Prior to the governor's press conference, we heard from the Sweetwater County COVID-19 emergency response team. They explained that some of the details I gave you earlier about the variances came from them. It included the county attorney, who we quoted before. One of the things that he noted in his comments that I appreciated was one of the ways that we can show support is abiding by these guidelines. It's not going to reflect well in a business if, for example, you're at the previously mentioned bar scenario, and the cops are going through the door, and suddenly people are scattering. That's not a good look. That doesn't reflect well upon the business. That doesn't bode well for its ability to be able to reopen to the degree that these businesses need to be able to survive. You don't want to be that jerk who is being told the proper way to do by hardworking staff, the frontline people, and then when they're not complying, then the authorities show up, and then you get these people in trouble just because they're trying to do what was right. They want to pump a little bit of life back into the community, whether it's through the businesses they offer or the lifeblood salaries that keep us going, keep the lights on, and keep the groceries in the refrigerator. Don't be that person. One of the other things he noted is that face masks. And I know there's still a number of events that I'm covering or places where I'm at where I'm the only one wearing it. The county attorney noted that the masks are not meant for your protection. They're meant for people that are around you. Once again, citing you may have it and not know it. It'd be better to me personally, it's a sign of courtesy, goodwill, respect, kindness, that I wear this mask because I don't know what's going on in my own body. I certainly don't know what's going on in my own head, so why would I know the rest? Let me take this extra step as courtesy to you, and I appreciate if you do it. Take that step for me in return. One of the other things that was said during the press conference came from Jim Walmsley, saying, "We're not out of the woods yet. We can see the opening." And I thought that was a good way of putting it. But there's still more work to be done. He talked about how we're going to have to rely on each other to do what's right, to still hold ourselves to the extra standards that are put upon us. And yes, it is a burden. And yes, it is driving some of us crazy. It's driving me a little bit nuts. I don't know another person who can claim to be absolute baseline normal where they were before all this. But to still stress it's important. He had one of his lines that came from Walmsley was, "Take care and look out for each other." That's what I'm trying to do. I hope you're trying to do the same. Whether it's, like I said, wearing a face mask, still limiting those trips out there, being a supporter of these businesses as they slowly reopen, both here and hopefully soon across the state. Another example that comes to mind is that some of the end of the school year activities. Last night, Rock Springs High School hosted a special parking lot event to be able to recognize those in the speech and debate club and those in outdoor track and field. Tonight, starting at 6, they're going to have the recognition for the Tiger Thespians, those in the drama club. Then at 7, they're going to be recognizing the members of the girls' soccer team. You have the chance, turn out. Everybody's going to stay in their vehicles, and when they have the biographies, one at a time, students will be called upon to go up to the front, stand there. If you're the first person in line, you stand there for them reading their entire biography. Both times that they had, the first people in both group kind of had that, can I sit down? Do I sit down yet? That's not, no. Stay just a little bit longer till the end. You'll know when it's time to stand back down, to the applause of those in the cars and a lot of car horns and general whoops. It's different. It's not the same as a dinner, but it's part of what these kids have earned and deserved, and we should be looking for what we can do to find other ways to convey that stuff. Like I said, Walmsley said, take care and look out for each other. Let's do that. I'm Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, wishing you a good day and a safe tomorrow.